gotta close my door here. Hold on. Jesus Christ, dude! I just got blinded by my daughter. Walking out of the shower is just like, oh my God, holy shit!
What?
My daughter just walking naked through the house.
What the hell?
She thought I was in here. She didn't know. I surprised her. I was like, whoa! Whoa!
Oh boy, stressed out.
You still coming to Florida in 2 weeks?
Yeah, man.
Word up.
What's that hangout? Oh, you texted to me too. Okay. Yeah, there it is. Pigpen. Pigpen. We should see what he thinks about that.
Damn, look at that.
Yeah.
Is that your group?
You know what? I'm not even going to be me. It's going to be this guy who does the interview.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it, probably.
Yeah. I'm swine. I like pussy and beer and titties.
9 o'clock. Let's go. Let's go, guys. 9 o'clock.
Oh, yeah. Check it out. Peeping through your window. Run up in your back door. Oink. Oink, motherfucker. Where this motherfucker at? I got shit to do, motherfuckers. Pro wrestling's getting ready.
Oh. Yo!
Hey, how you doing?
Hey.
Hey, how you doing, Mr. McInnes?
I'm good.
Thank you so much for agreeing to this interview.
No problem.
Very much appreciated.
You got a lot of modern punk behind you there. Did you contact me a while ago about doing a punk show?
I tried to get in touch with you numerous ways. And I, going through the Anthony Cumia network, I finally was able to get somebody to talk to me. And yeah, it was anyway. I'm a big fan of the show. I'm a subscriber to the Anthony Cumia network, and I've heard you mention in jest that you'll say yes to anything. Well, I think you agreeing to this interview is proof of that. And anyway. Really appreciate it, man. So this is Dying Scene Radio. I don't know if you've ever heard of our website, dyingscene.com.
Yeah, I think I checked it out when you emailed me the first time, and then I just sort of got distracted and forgot about it. That's what usually happens.
That's fine. Thank you. Hey, Adam, do you have a beer?
Are you Bob Noxious or Bobby Pickles?
I'm Bobby Pickles.
Hey, I'm Bob Noxious. Dude, that is such a rad mustache, man. My daughter really likes mustaches, and wait till she sees that one. That's an incredible stash.
It takes hard work and dedication, and you just have to believe in yourself,
So yeah, so basically, if you don't mind, I know who you are, and I'm a big fan, like I said, but maybe some of our listeners, I got to bring them up to speed really quick if I can. Gavin McInnes, successful entrepreneur, journalist, ad man, filmmaker, comedian, radio TV host, living proof that someone who majored in English can accomplish much more than being a teacher. Not that being a teacher isn't a great accomplishment or anything.
Yes,
but
yes, it is not a great accomplishment. You go home at 3 and you get your summers off. We're not impressed.
Absolutely. Yeah, so like I said, I watch the Anthony Cumia network, and you mentioned on a few occasions not wanting to bore people by nerding out on the topic of punk rock music. But Dying Scene Radio is a decent platform for that, I feel. And
Yeah.
in fact, your show opens with a Clash song. Isn't that correct?
It is. Well, I'm looking behind you now. What do we got here? The Misfits? Are the Misfits punk or hardcore?
You know, that's a good question for Bob. Bob,
I think it's definitely punk. It goes into the the horror punk category, I believe. If you got to split it by genre.
Yeah, it's funny because I started an 80s hardcore cover band called 80s Hardcore. This is a few years ago, maybe 3 years ago, and we had to quit because it was just so exhausting to get up there and scream for that long. But we got into these arguments about what is hardcore. And I don't count like Pennywise or Bad Religion. Any of those sort of guys who wear shorts are not part of my understanding of hardcore. Dag Nasty were kind of an exception because they were there so early, but then when emo started to drift into that SoCal scene where they looked like jocks and they sang really earnestly, I was out. But the Descendants and Black Flag I definitely include in that, but Misfits and the Dead Kennedys are punk. But we had this argument about Husker Du on Landspeed Record, Data Control. And I wanted to do it in the set because you get a fucking break. You know, it's da-na-na-na-na-na, and you don't have to scream. You don't have to Ian MacKaye jump all over the stage like a monkey, and you can breathe. I'm 45. No, first of all, too deep of a cut. We want all hits. And like we were doing Black Flag six-pack type stuff. And they go, Husker Du aren't hardcore. They're poppy, kind of punky. And I go, Landspeed Record, how is that not a hardcore record? And it's funny, if you ever organize your albums by genre, you don't know what to do with Husker Du. Where do you put them?
I would file them under probably indie punk or
it's like the
alternative
replacement.
even.
You just
alternative.
It's like you gotta ignore sorry ma forgot to take out the trash and just think of them as pleased to meet me Tim band. And who's gonna do our Zen Arcade Flip Your Wig band?
You know what's weird? Husker Du is actually in the news this week.
Really?
Long defunct. This is what it says on our website. Hardcore legends Husker Du have launched their official website for the first time in their career. The website is an online merch store, and bassist Greg Norton told Star Tribune they have worked out a licensing agreement for their music, and an official Facebook page should be coming soon. He also hinted at a possible reunion, saying there's ongoing communication between the three of us now. So Husker Du released their final album, Warehouse Songs and Stories, in 1987 and broke up the following year. But hey, they're in the news. They might be getting back together. So
I saw Bob Mould this summer. I think they played a bunch of Husker Du songs, and I think they might have played Data Control. But anyway, I interviewed Bob Mould through Vice many years ago, right when he came out of the closet, and I go, can we talk about the thing, the whoop-a-doo? And he goes, what do you mean? Well, the fact that you're gay. And he goes, well, my attitude with that is I'm not afraid to talk about it, but if you think it affects how you feel about the songs, then I don't want to talk to you. And I go, how could it not? Like, I don't want to know if you were lonely. Now I picture a dude. And he goes, no, those songs were about other people's relationships. And you go, what band writes about other people's relationships? I mean, I guess Prince never fucked Darling Nikki, but you got the idea that that song was based on some crazy chicks he's fucked.
Yeah, man, that's like Fat Mike said, man. Out of all the genres of music, punk rock is the best because of the lyrics. They got, they write about so much crazy stuff, and obviously, all kinds of things go into a song and the lyrics, and yeah, that's a crucial piece of information, right?
Well, it's funny seeing them change over the years too. Like, we did a Descendants cover. We did.
What did you play in the band? You're the front man? I
was a front man. I was in bands in the 80s and early 90s. Anal Chinook, Leather Ass Buttfuck, Phlegm, and we were doing I'm Not a Loser, And it's funny hearing those songs out of context in today's politically correct age. And he's saying, what does he say? Leave me alone, you fucking homo!
Yep. Milo.
Yeah, and now when they do that song, I think they change it to you fucking zero.
Oh, God. Yeah, well, you know, you have a lot of background in this, man. It's always the non-PC thing kind of gets you in trouble sometimes because you say it like it is, you tell it like it is, and you've been involved in all this stuff. I'm probably gonna saying this lead up or whatever, I answer my own question, but you know how did punk rock? How did those roots help shape your success? You know?
Well, I've always been a big Crass guy. And the thing I loved about Crass was they didn't want fans, and they didn't want a following, and they didn't want to be admired or put on a pedestal in any way. And I remember hearing a story about Penny Rimbaud where someone came to get an autograph. He said, "What's your name?" "Paul." So he takes the marker, and he holds Paul's hand, and then he writes on that Crass album, "Paul." That's what hardcore was, even more than anarcho-punk, because with Maximum Rock and Roll, it was about your scene, Ottawa, Canada, Baltimore, and you know, with punk, you were more. If you weren't in LA, New York, or London, you were missing it. With hardcore, it was the opposite. It was New York. That's just one of the many towns. I've never really heard Gorilla Biscuits. I never really listened to Warzone or even Sick of It All. Those weren't my bands. I had my bands in Ottawa. We had Dead Trout and Grave Concern and Fluid Waffle and Porcelain Forehead and The Trapped. Those were the bands we liked, and no one will ever hear them and had ever heard of them. And that was kind of empowering as a teenager because you go, celebrities are stupid, and I'm not special. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or maybe it is I am special. No one's special. I don't know. But that was pretty empowering. And plus, just the fucking, you know what's really underrated? Moshing. We called it slam dancing back when I was 18, in 1988. But you're so mad at the world, and you're so sexually frustrated, you're so confused, and to get out there in a pit, with skinheads too, fighting you occasionally, and getting a bloody nose and that kind of contact, and everything from fighting the skinheads in the pit, which didn't go well for us ever, to reaching down and scooping up your buddy was really, and the whole DIY thing. I mean, that really taught you to be an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
I gotta say, the skinheads, the more quiet and unassuming the town, the scarier the skinheads. We had Joff, who killed himself by putting an M16 in his mouth and then putting a broom handle through the trigger, calling his girlfriend who wouldn't let him see his kids, and going, blowing his head off. Then we had Francois, whose entire back was 3 Klansmen riding into battle, kind of going down his ass cheeks, sort of, like that would be their ultimate destination. It wasn't a gay thing, it's just when you draw Klansmen on a back, they have to be headed somewhere, right? They're either going away or they're coming this way. And if they're coming this way, it's inevitably going to be kind of butt cheek destination. I guess they could have been going sideways. And then there was this dude, Wolf, who had carried a cane, and the cane had a rapier in it. So when these guys were coming to beat you up for your Doc Martens, you would just get instant explosive diarrhea.
A lot of times, the skinheads and whatnot would go there, looking for a fight. If you looked at them wrong, it was going to be a fight, and that's kind of was what the goal was. And I think that made a lot of people probably get away from the hardcore music scene and gave it a bad name for a while. Unfortunately, the skinheads, that's the style of music they latched onto. But
true. But in the 80s, violence, me and Mackay talks about this, violence was fucking everywhere. Maybe it was the dance. It could have been as simple as slam dancing, moshing, whatever, taught us that confrontation isn't that big of a deal. You just get a bloody nose. So maybe that even led to skinheads. Maybe that even made violence okay. But it was funny, in Canada, there was this gang called Bunch of Fucking Goofs, BFG. And they were poor kids, grew up without dads, and they just got in their van, they were a band too, beat up all the Nazi skinheads in Toronto, all the Nazi skinheads in Ottawa, including those with rapiers and giant clan tattoos, and then all the skinheads in Montreal, and that was the end of that. Never saw skinheads again. It's that simple. It's like the grade school thing with bullies. You just punch them in the nose.
Now your slam dancing days are over completely?
Oh, fuck yeah. I had to quit that band. I couldn't even sing on stage. Have you tried it? I don't know how old you guys are.
Man, I'm 35 and I still get in the mosh pit. I don't care.
Shit. I tried it recently, and it was like being murdered for 8 seconds straight. I mean, it's more
Bob, I'm gonna throw you under the bus. Bob, he's a similar age as you. I think, Bob, you're 45, right? And,
actually, I'm 46, and
46.
I front probably the fastest hardcore band in Tampa Bay.
Wow.
With a ski mask on.
Holy shit, that must be hell on earth.
Yes, protruding pig noses. There you go. Pig pen.
That must be fucking hell. Who's for
Yeah,
love?
it is hell, but you know what? We do it for love, man. And if I see a bunch of kids banging and smashing into each other down the front, even better. Bring on the hardcore.
The skinhead scene in Tampa in the late 80s, early 90s was intense.
Yeah.
Tell me
It was
about
like
that,
quite skinheads.
I could. That was a little bit before my time because I wasn't into that scene in Tampa at that time. But I've heard about it. You know, were you ever down here, or what's your recollection of the Tampa skinhead scene from the '80s?
I know of dudes who were in that scene back then, and they would tell me about getting in buses and going from Tampa to, where the hell was it? Some other Florida town? For huge rumbles, but this was
St. Petersburg?
Nazi skinheads versus Nazi skinheads. They just didn't like the cut of their jib.
Hey man, that's like natural selection, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there's something healthy about violence, though. I think kids. That's what I was trying to get this kid Rat to join a boxing gym. It's good to fight. It's not good to pick fights with random strangers, but it's healthy to have some under your belt. You're not a man unless you've broken a heart, had your heart broken, kicked the shit out of someone, or had the shit kicked out of you. And, you know, masturbating to porn in front of the computer screen is the same as never fighting and just yelling at people anonymously online. Both of those things, when you fight, I don't care if it's in a ring or when you fuck, even in person, you walk down the street and you go, I'm a human. And I could fight this guy, I could fuck that chick. Like, I'm connected to humanity. But when you've just been doing it to a screen all day, whether it's violence or sex, you're sort of walking down the street going, I escaped from my little dwelling. What's happening? Someone could bludgeon me, or I'd never fuck her. Yes, you can fuck her. Just
I love it. I love
So,
it.
you know, I know about your movie and whatnot. Now, were you raised by your father? I don't know much about your backstory, but, you know, you did a movie on, you know, raising your son minus a father. Are those life lessons that you
How
actually
to be a
learned?
man.
Yeah, no, my dad was always around, and I deeply admire him for that. I mean, we hated each other during my punk years, from 14 to 20 or 13 to 21, whatever. But the fact that he stuck around and was always there, and even though we didn't speak for many years because of my hair, which I still think is pretty insane. You don't like my hairdo? I don't like maybe 90% of the world's hairdos. I have to talk to them. But no, he was always there, always stuck around, always, you know, help me with my homework, or would drive me somewhere if I broke my arm, drive me to the hospital, say, can you move your fingers? You know, the people, these shitty dads don't get that you do dad stuff every minute. Like even tonight, my son was standing on the couch, and it's a leather couch, and I could see him putting stress on the threads, and I go, you're not at the playground, sit down. And then 30 seconds later, he's sitting on the back, and he falls off the back. He's 7. And I go, I just said that you're not at the playground. Sit on the couch like a human being. And I go, that's twice in 1 minute. That's how often you have to do shit. So these fucking divorced dads that think they're still just as good as a full-time dad because they see them on the weekends. Sorry, dude. You know what is a great dad, though, is the dad who didn't grow up with a dad.
Yeah.
Because they know how shitty it was.
Or if you just had like a shitty dad and then you just want to do better or something, you know?
Yeah, those are pretty good too. But I'll tell you, the shittiest dad Or like say a dad who's in the military and only sees his kid every year, or the trucker dad who sees him every 6 months. Way better than the dad who's divorced and not around.
Hey, Gavin, you've been called the godfather of hipsterdom.
Are you guys divorced dads and that subject's bumming you out?
No,
man.
Bob, Bob, jump in.
Actually, no, I'm a divorced dad, and I raised my own daughter, by myself. I'm the single dad.
Oh, that's the Tampa thing. Stripper starts getting into Special K, and she disappears, right?
You know what? Yeah, she ends up in Vegas. Next thing you know, she's bought and sold like a piece of meat. True story, man. That's not far from the truth at all.
Was it Coke or Special K?
No, what's that other stuff? Molly, and just getting into a bad scene. You know about Molly?
Yeah, I just can't believe that a woman would get that. Like, I get heroin. When you stop it, your body starts falling apart and you feel like you're on fire. But Molly? That's like, I had to leave my kids. I got addicted to Budweiser. Pot. I had to move to Vegas to pursue my pot career.
Yeah.
What a fucking loser.
Tell me. Likely story, isn't it? So, yeah, man, I was raised without a father, and I made sure that, as a father, I learned a lot of lessons from my father, what not to do as a father. So.
Well, get your girl a mom. We're older now. I mean, we don't have the same kind of standards. She can have some meat on her bones. She can have some droopers. She doesn't have to be a supermodel. Get yourself a 5.
That's some good advice, man. I'll look into that. See if I can update my Tinder subscription or whatever that thing's called.
Do it, dude. How old's your girl?
I have 3 daughters, actually. I have a 19-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 10-year-old.
The 13-year-old and the 10-year-old need a mom. You got to get a 5.
Okay. I'll look for a 5.
I mean, obviously, don't kick a 10 out of bed for eating crackers, but don't need to wait for a unicorn to come by. 5 and up, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Maybe I've set my standards too high for too long, and that's why I'm a single dad. That's what it is.
Dude, we're old, and, well, you're better looking than me, but we're old and ugly. We got to, and plus, when the lights are dim, you get some lingerie on, some high heels. I'd fuck Rosie O'Donnell at this point. Sorry, I interrupted you there, Bobby.
No, it's fine.
What were you asking?
No, I was talking about your Godfather hipsterdom reference. People throw that around the internet, and I wasn't aware hipsterdom had a place in punk rock. What's your definition of a hipster?
Well, it's evolved quite a bit over the years. It sort of went super metrosexual faggy a few years ago, and now it's sort of bending sideways in this sort of like reaction to that. The pendulum is now big red beards and tattoos and Willie Nelson and hand tattoos and a lot of pot because they're in AA, motorbikes and stuff. They seem to have alpha mailed it up after a few years of electroclash skinny jeans. But the thing I like about all the different versions of it is it's so unmarketable. And they always the old fogies my age always bitch about corporatization of cool and how they've been co-opted by big business and blah, blah, blah. These kids are impossible to make money from. Their track bikes are used with no gears. You can't even steal them because no one can ride them. Their music's all stolen. Their clothes are all used. They don't give a shit. There's no more Air Jordans. Kids buy Vans Eras and Chuck Taylors now. The whole sneaker pimp shit is done. They pay for live shows. That's about it. And even guys my age, right, who are way too old to be hipsters, when I was in advertising, we were talking to those Just for Men dudes who would help you blacken your beard, and that's been a godsend for them, a big cash cow, way back since the baby boomers of the 70s. And it's completely dried up because these guys...
Well, now...
Yeah, I got white.
Now a lot of the hipsters these days want to have that white look. You know, that's the hipster thing. That gray streak.
LCD sound system, and he goes, "Why would I pretend I'm not in my 40s? I'm in my fucking 40s. I don't give a shit."
Hey, for what entrepreneurial venture were you better suited? The Vice, starting a Vice, or Rooster?
Well, Rooster was tough because it was advertising, so it was, very selly-outy.
Yeah. You're a copywriter?
The way we worked it was we just split up the jobs, and if I could have a thing where I was in control of the content from beginning to end, like the Vans, I don't know if you saw, we did this series for Vans called How To, and it was how to drink in a bar, how to fly in a plane, and etiquette stuff, how to fight. And that was fun, and Vans is a great client, so I'm happy to do it because it's just a Vans logo at the end. But then some of the other stuff, dude, I don't know, it was torture. Those guys that I did Rooster with are still going, and to be totally frank, I don't miss it one bit. I mean, the money was insane. We sold it right before I got fired for a shit ton, and I've never seen people with less talent make more money. Like, that whole industry is on the verge of collapse. It's like publishing, like book publishing. It's just an antiquated industry that has all these people making well over $250K a year who don't really do anything.
Gavin, man, it's interesting about entrepreneurialism. I'm an entrepreneur, and I find, I have an old partner that used to say, everybody's replaceable, even me.
That's such a key.
Yeah. Well,
That's one of my first lessons.
Yeah, me too.
That's why I say that, dude. Have you ever say that?
No. I always tell everybody that, actually, people I work with all the time, if they work for me, technically, I'll always say, we work together and blah, 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 whatever. But it's a good thing to think and, to really genuinely, sincerely, I think, try to embody, though. But you're the definition of that, though. Just like
yeah, thanks.
Steve Jobs gets ousted, the same kind of thing. You get ousted from these companies that you found,
Yeah. Well, I was about 20 and I was tree planting, and I was just a kid, and a big inspiration to me was this guy Mark Saunders, who ran the tree planting company. We became good friends. We're still close. But he's the first guy who ever said that to me. Everyone is replaceable. And it's funny because people get this attitude when they're negotiating and shit, and they want more money, and they always do this, like, ask not what my country can do for me, but ask what my country can do for me.
ABBA antithesis.
Yeah, they're sort of like, I work here 10 hours a day, and you don't pay me any money, and you feel like going, well, then leave. If you're this valuable of an asset, then the people must be knocking down your door. You can't negotiate if you're not valuable. And millennials don't get that. Like, they just go, I'm working hard. Yeah, but you suck. So
where does the millennial cut off?
30, 32.
Okay.
But these guys will do, like, their attitude is, I worked hard, so give me money. Like, what I always say to them is, look, if you came to my house and you painted it gold with gold paint, and you said, I need $3,000 for that. That was usually, when you paint a house gold, it's like $10,000. And I go, I never asked you to paint my house gold. And if you wanted money for painting my house gold, we need to settle that up in advance and write down a contract. Now, we don't need lawyers, but a handshake works. Here, $3,000, paint it gold. Here's what happens if you don't finish the job. Here's when the job will be done. But they don't do that. They just intern for 2 weeks, and they go, I want $1,000. And you go, dude, intern is free school. I didn't even want you here.
Exactly. My brother, sometimes he's hanging around, and I ask him, hey, can you help me out with this? And he goes, oh, what are you going to pay me?
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, are you fucking serious, man? When I learned how to do this, I was working full time and then, going and working for somebody else, and I'd have to, like, clean all his shit, and he'd tell me one thing,
You wait till you're an asset and I have to pay you, or someone else will scoop you up. My dad said that too when I was young. He goes, I've never negotiated a salary. If I get a shite salary, I'll just start to work, and then they'll realize that they're getting me cheap, and someone else will come in. And then it just naturally gets to the right level. Now, that being said, you can't let people take advantage of you and, work at some giant corporation that's thriving for $25K a year when that's your salary. I mean,
right.
But these millennials, these young people, they just value themselves so fucking much, and they don't get how much of being an entrepreneur is flushed down the toilet. Like 12 failures for every success. With the big business, big ad campaigns, they'll do they'll do a whole series of McDonald's commercials, done. And then McDonald's will watch them and go, not interested. That money's flushed down the toilet.
Gavin, I know we don't have that much time. I know you're going to be starting your show soon.
Who's got this?
What'd you get? Hold on.
Live in 2.
Fuck. God, I got so much to ask you. This sucks. All right. Damn it.
Do it again sometime.
Yeah, thank you very much then. I guess if we only have 2 minutes, can we get a station ID from you?
Yeah, what do I say?
Just say, hey, I'm Gavin McInnes, and then spice it up however you want. You're listening to Dying Scene Radio.
What was the middle part?
You can spice it up however you want to.
All right.
Basically, introduce yourself. You can tell people where you're from and stuff.
Hey guys, you're listening to Dying Scene Radio, the home of modern punk and hardcore. I'm Gavin McInnes, and I've got a surprise coming up. Stay tuned.
That's good, man. Fuck. All right. Damn it, I wish we had more time. Thank you so
Love
much
you.
for talking to us.
Like you more than a friend.
Adios.
Thanks, Gavin.
Fuck. Man, that was so entertaining for me.
Yeah, he said that he'd get on there, semi-regular. Let's get him as a guest contributor every now and then or something. I
Yeah.
wonder if he'd do it.
Dying Scene Radio. Dying Scene, Dying Scene, Dying Scene, Dying Scene, Dying Scene Radio. Dying Scene Radio. Dying Scene Radio. Dying Scene Radio.